Nice to have you, Ricky. I want to start off, though, on the markets before we get to this letter that you recently penned. I was looking back. Your last appearance with us on CNBC was March 16th, and you were very bullish. In fact, you were saying the market could make new highs. We'll have pent-up demand. We'll have massive fiscal stimulus in the second half of the year, you said. Fiscal stimulus, we'll have lower interest rates, lower oil. You largely were right, at least, in terms of where the market went. It was 2386 the S&P closed that day. We know where we are now. The NASDAQ was 6904. My question, are you now a seller given the rally that's taken place since you made those comments on March 16th?
So I'm definitely less bullish on the market here. And I am... And part of the reason I'm less bullish is some of the reasons that led me to send this letter, this open letter out. I think that my best case scenario, which is the scenario I laid out, is potentially off the table because of how the politicians and the media and the academic community and the scientific community have taken a hold of this debate. And so I would say I'm not bearish. I'm still long America, but I'm less bullish than I was then. I still believe that we have a chance to make new highs. We have a chance to have all the optimistic things that I said play out. But we as a country have to begin to make the right decisions. And so I took to my network and my peers and tried to get people to start to see the issues a little more clearly.
Yeah, well, you've explained in part why you chose to do it. But Ricky, I know you as a rigorous investor. I listened to your advice or at least I want to hear your arguments when it comes to why you would buy or sell a particular stock. But you're not a public health expert. You're not an immunologist. I don't know that you know anything more about infectious diseases that I do or infection rates or herd immunity or anything like that. So why would you write it and why would you expect that people would care what you had to say?
Yeah, I don't know why people would care what I have to say, to be candid, but I did want to get people to think, and I wanted to sort of zoom the debate out a little bit, and I wanted to get a different discussion than the one we've been having, because the one we were having was not right, and I would say, David, you're 100% right. I'm not an epidemiologist. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. Actually, I've been trained for 35 years as a research analyst. And now I manage a team of research analysts. And all we do all day long is pore over data, analyze data, talk to experts, and draw inferences and conclusions about subjects and topics that previously we didn't know anything about. So I've had a lot of my team working on the virus, as you can imagine, since it's impacting the markets and the portfolio. And so I started to see some things in the data which scared the living daylights out of me, to be quite frank.
What were the things that scared the living daylights out of you?
The first thing that set me off was that my team was telling me that the opening data, that the states that were opening, that this was a red state and blue state issue. And I almost lost my mind. There is nothing political about what we were dealing with in this crisis whatsoever. And it began to become clear to me that there are a lot of people out there in the media and frankly in politics whose sole objective is to beat Trump. And the economy has obviously been the only leg that he's had to stand on. So if they can keep that out from under him, they can beat him. I don't have a particular dog in the election fight, but I cannot let politics get in the way of such important decisions. That's one. Two, I began to see media like Google censoring things like herd immunity. I want to read you something because it's quite shocking what they're saying. But Google responded to something they took down with this comment: "We quickly remove flag content that violates our community guidelines, including content that explicitly disputes the efficacy of global or local health authority recommended guidance on social distancing that may lead others to act on that guidance." I'm sorry, David, did we move to China? And is the government always right and we have no right to question them? no right to hear dissenting opinion. So I'm concerned that people are confused. They're in a fog. They're trying to look right in front of them and protect themselves and their family from the virus. And I understand that, but they're not zooming out and looking, how do we get to the other side? And to me, the other side, metaphorically speaking, is how is your father going to be at your son's graduation? So I wanted us to start to think about those questions. I wanted to have a little more clarity in the debate about those questions, because many politicians, many academic leaders, I mean, look at what Syracuse put out yesterday. They're basically telling students, we're going to hold classes on Saturdays and Sundays. You guys are going to go home between Thanksgiving and Christmas, because that's when flu season starts. I mean, people are making decisions for very not particularly vulnerable populations based on misinformation. And the reason is that nobody gets vilified for being too cautious. And that's really the problem here, is that caution sounds wonderful, and I respect that. But quite frankly, caution is costing us trillions of dollars as a country. It's costing us collateral lives.